Welcome to Tales from the Brick, where we tell the stories behind our favorite plastic bricks. I am John, aka 8-Bit Bricks, and this week we are joined by the mastermind behind BrickMania, Daniel Siskind. Welcome,
Thank
Daniel.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
And we're glad to have you here to talk about military Lego. Since Lego won't make them, somebody has to step in and do it.
Yeah. Well, I guess I didn't step in. I kind of got dragged into it.
All
I
right,
guess we can talk about that
we'll get there. But first, we'd like to
All right.
start all the way at the beginning. How did
Sure.
you initially get into Lego?
Oh, that was a long time ago. I mean, not to be cliched, but I was a kid, and
Of course.
um, back in the '70s, my parents used to go traveling the world riding bicycles, and one of their trips they went to Europe. I think they went to Denmark even,
Oh,
and
wow.
they came back. This was like early mid '70s, and came back with a Lego set. It was so old that it came in a styrofoam box.
Oh, wow.
Um, it was like a styrofoam liner with a cardboard box and a little tray that you lifted the top off, and all the elements were in little compartments in there.
That's
I
really
think
cool.
I think I looked it up. It's like Lego set number 4. You know, when they started numbering them. I'm like, I had to find the exact set, and then finally, like, I looked deep enough into BrickLink till I found it. I think like literally number 4 or something like that. I mean, I'm sure they had more before because this was the '70s and Lego's a lot older than that, but it just had a big 4 on the box.
That's crazy.
So I've been playing with obsessively with Lego ever since. That set didn't build anything. It was just like had pictures on the box that you kind of had to like get ideas from and then build. So that is something from the get go. I didn't look at like a Lego set as like a model you put together. I looked at it as a bunch of bricks that I can use to make my own creations with. Take inspiration from the sets, but actually, once I figured out how a set was built, I took it apart, and then they're just pieces for my own build. So um,
Nice.
that's just been my process for 50 years now. So um,
So, what kind of mocks did you make as a young child?
probably the same thing I'm doing now: airplanes and cars and whatever else I could do. Um, I was obsessed with the system. I mean, I saw pictures of Lego creations, and when I was a kid, you couldn't get all the parts. You'd see like in every time you bought a Lego set, there's a little idea sheet on the back of the instruction book. There was a little like scene of like somebody had put together like a diorama with the set somehow featured in it, and then there was all these other sets in there or other creations, and like I look at those pictures and go, how come I can't get those parts or in those quantities? So I would
Yeah.
obsess over parts. I would just look at the boxes. I wouldn't even buy a set or ask for a set because it was a cool set. It was like I looked at it for the parts that came with it. Like, hey, there's cool roof pieces and stuff in there, so I
Oh,
can
yeah.
build this cool like castle building or something that I couldn't build before. So it was always about the parts, always about like what I could add to my existing stockpile of Lego.
So it's all about the mock,
Yeah.
even from the young age. That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we always have to encourage the young to use their imaginations. And I
Yes.
think Lego has kind of moved away from that a little bit, but
Yeah, and they've also made it a little easier to get parts, though. I mean,
well, that
I
too.
mean, back in those days, if you wanted 10 of something, you had to buy X number of sets to get it, or like go to your friend's house and play with their bricks because they had a different
Oh, yeah.
selection than you did. So, and God forbid you might, one of their set pieces might fall into your parts and vice versa.
Uh-oh.
So we would, as a kid, we would swap among each other with the kids in the neighborhood. There was like 4 families on my block that all had pretty good Lego collections, and we'd go play with each other's bricks, and then sometimes they'd get mixed up. But
Of course, it happens with Lego.
yeah, the parents would hate it when we mixed them up, though. They'd get all possessive, like, you can't bring your bricks over to Johnny's house because you'll never know if you're going to get the right ones back. Or so.
Well, that's the joy of Lego.
Yeah, to them it was an investment. To me, it was all about obsessively building.
Nice. So, did you continue on, or did you actually have a dark age?
Um, I don't know if I had a true dark age. There was a time where I had no time to build, but the bricks were always there. I I made the mistake, and this I call this a mistake. I I I broke up with a relationship, a girlfriend I had, and she had kids from a previous relationship, and I for like 2 weeks said, okay, you could take my collection to give to the kids, and then like
Uh-oh.
maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know how long until I came to my senses. Like, what was I thinking? That's a lifetime, 30 years of collecting or 20 something years of collecting. I need to get that back, and I felt like such a schmuck, but I asked for my bricks back, and those poor
Oh.
kids were so brokenhearted.
Aw.
So, but that I mean, I haven't always been in a financial place or a workplace where I have the time to build. So sometimes stuff would get shelved and get put in the attic or get put in the basement until I did have time. I'd come back to it, but I never like made a conscious decision, said I'm not building, I'm not collecting. It would naturally come and go as time and money permitted.
Oh
So,
yeah. I think we've all been there. Just
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. There was never a time where like I'm too cool for this. Lego sucks.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I don't know if I ever got into a Lego sucks phase, but I definitely got into a phase where I just got out of building.
Well, I think a lot of my friends got into a Lego sucks or I'm too cool for Lego.
Oh,
Um, and every time when I was a teenager, and maybe it was even before I was a teenager, like a preteen, it started happening with my friends. Like, oh, Lego is not cool. You're such a nerd, and it didn't bother me, and I could understand where people are coming from. But my mom was bankrolling my Lego habit. Like, she knew the value of what all the bricks were because she had been buying me stuff for birthdays and holidays for my whole life, and she saw it as an opportunity. And then I later saw the same opportunity when my friends like grow out of Lego. We could buy their collections for pennies on the dollar because they want to buy like a Walkman or something. Like they want. I need $200 to buy this used car, this used Chevy Nova that I'm going to drive around and be cool with. I'm like, okay, I'll take your bricks. Give me 200. I'll give you $200 for your entire like classic space collection. And
oof.
lo and behold, I lowballed everybody, and it was able to like triple, quadruple my collection in my teenage years because suddenly everybody was too cool for Lego, and and my mom was helping me. And then once I got my own job, I was able to buy on my own. So I had multiples of a lot of sets. Like classic space was one that all my friends had. I was never really a fan of classic space.
Oh,
But I ended
it's
up
my
having
favorite.
yeah, well, I ended up having multiple sets, and I couldn't break them up. I was like, this is too cool. This is too vintage.
Yeah.
So I ended up putting them all together, and then realizing like, well, I had the few things that were missing from that collection, I actually had from when I was a kid. Mine were like more crummy condition because they spent most of their time as loose pieces on my floor. But I was able to build almost the entire classic space line for at least the first 5 years, and then have multiples of some.
That's so
Multiples.
cool.
Yeah, the little spaceship with the yellow, the yellow thing. There's like three sizes of it. There's the
Yeah.
Galaxy Explorer, a middle size, and a small size. I had all of them at one point, multiples of some of them.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, that was cool. I couldn't, it was kind of, that was, I ended up selling them to fund the start of BrickMania,
Uh,
oddly enough. So my
oh,
teenage investment paid off many years later when I decided to start BrickMania. I needed some seed capital to get all this going.
so how many years later did BrickMania start?
Well, when did it start? It started 1999 is when I first had the idea to make sets. And it
Oh,
wasn't really my idea. I was kind of roped into it from some other people who had a similar idea. Like, hey, we can make sets. And so I was almost 30 at that point. So there was a time where those classic space sets existed as all put together, carefully filed in a dresser drawer that moved with me from house to house. After I moved out of my parents' house, moved out of my mom's house. For years, I carried all these things around, and sometimes I'd take them apart and use the pieces. But I ended up, 10, 15 years holding on to all these things, and they were in the same condition as I got them. So
Oh, that's
I was
awesome.
able to sell them all for a lot of money on eBay. And that was really early days of eBay. It was just eBay was just that was when eBay was
Okay.
like just getting started and prices were through the roof for collectibles.
Oh yeah. Well, it was founded just to sell collectibles. So
Yes,
you
and that
know
was
that.
at the heyday. This was
Oh
like
yeah.
the first year or two of eBay. I mean, I guess I was at a really got into this at a really good time. I'm like, Lugnet member, like, 125. I'm a BrickLink store. I'm a BrickLink member, like 50 something.
Oh wow.
So I mean,
You're
I
really
was
there.
I was yeah, I was in BrickLink before it was called BrickBay back then, and then
Yes.
eBay got wind of it, made them change
Yeah.
their name.
Yeah, they got the cease and desist, and then that's when
Yeah.
they changed to BrickLink.
So
But
when
yeah.
I started BrickMania, there was no BrickLink yet. So I was one of the first businesses with the brick in the name. So
Oh really?
I don't there wasn't yeah, I mean, that was kind of a new revelation. A lot of us were I mean, it wasn't a lot. There's a handful of us on Lugnet that were talking about, "Hey, we can make our own sets." And then that sort of devolved into a private discussion, and there was a certain point where like, "Hey, let's do this." We all had to think of names for our, our enterprises, and I picked, BrickMania. I knew Lego Mania wouldn't fly, so
Yeah, I
BrickMania
know.
would. And then everything's called Brick something at this point after
Well,
that.
because it's the generic term, and Lego will
Right.
not go after us, which is why, like, I'm 8-bit bricks. This is Tales
Yeah.
from the Brick,
Yeah.
and yeah, everything is brick.
They actually cultivate that now.
Yeah,
If you try to trademark your name 8-bit bricks, they'll come and say, "Hey, you can call it 8-bit whatever, but you can't try to trademark the word brick." So they will challenge that.
really interesting.
So when
I
I when
haven't
I
heard that.
actually got a registered trademark on BrickMania, which was, years after the fact, I had a legal challenge from Lego. And the challenge basically said I have to acknowledge that brick is I'm not trademarking the word brick. It's a community word for the Lego community. I'm like,
Oh,
well,
that's
that's
fair.
interesting. And I didn't argue that. I was like, that's cool because at least that means you're going to stay away from us and not try to like own it.
Yeah, and it sounds like they're not gonna try and do it either. They're just trying to keep it as a general term, which is fine.
Right, right. And I have no problem with that. I mean,
Yeah,
this is community. I mean, there's there are certain people who think because we act professional and we have trademarks and copyrights and our stuff that we're just in here for, in this space for the dollars, and that's actually the furthest from the truth. We're here for the community first. The business part of it happens to be my job, but uh, I'm always going to be an AFOL and be part of this community. So
I mean that's if you're not part of it, it's kind of not fun and not worth doing when it comes to
well,
Lego and brick building.
if you're not part of it, you're exploiting it.
That's
Think of
true
all the
too.
like companies that are like looking out. I mean, I just think of all the piracy that goes on. Like how many AFOLs have had their like mocks stolen and recreated and sold back to them from other, like other companies that really just look at us as like we're IP waiting to be, profited from or
Yeah. I mean,
so
I've been in the hobby 20 years, and it's been nonstop for the entire 20 years.
yeah,
So, no doubt.
that's great. That's great.
So, what was the first set that BrickMania released?
Well, the actual first set, the only people who know what the first set is the founders of Lugnet, because they said
Really?
when you registered for Lugnet, it was a pay what you want to pay for registration fee, and I
Mhm.
sent them a set of my first ever BrickMania set. And
Really?
then I was like, wait, this isn't like after I sent it and after I had a couple of them, like just trying to really struggling to like how I'm going to do packaging, how I'm going to do instructions. I said, okay, I got to start over, do something else. Make it's got to be more professional. So the only one that actually escaped my grasp is the one I sent to Lugnet, the founders, and I don't know if they remember, if they've lost it, they don't even care about it, but there is one out there.
All right.
The
I'm
one
gonna
the
have to
one
get
that ever
somebody on and find out.
yeah. So that would be Todd Webb, not Todd Webb. It was
No, he's Brick
it's
Bear.
Kevin. Yeah. Todd Webb was, yeah. They have names. Todd Lehman, right?
Yes.
And somebody else. It was a couple back then. I don't remember
Yeah, I'd have to look it up. I don't remember everybody off the top of my head.
Right.
But
And of course, as things happen, relationships with people. Anyway,
yeah.
so the first set that you guys know about that I publicly acknowledge is the blacksmith shop that Lego ended up licensing from me.
So, oh, they did? Really?
Yeah. So my first BrickMania set was the blacksmith shop that ended, was it 3739 at the actual blacksmith shop that Lego put out. That was my first BrickMania set. It was first of a series of castle sets that I had made when we got together with this group that were like, hey, let's talking about making our own sets. We kind of chopped up like themes and said, you can concentrate on this, you can concentrate on that. I ended up getting the castle slice. So I developed a whole product line of castle sets. They were all sort of related to each other. They could work together with each other. And I guess that would be classic castle, but bigger, a little bit bigger scale. So I put out my first set. A couple months later, I did a follow-up, a tavern, what Lego would never do, never put a tavern out. And then a mill and a church. Those were the first 4 castle sets I did. Those were they come out like once every 6 months, 4 to 6 months from the year 2000 to 2002, I think was my pace. I was pretty slow. I mean, the first run of those blacksmith shops, I made 10. And I figured that 10 would last me a year. Like I'd sell 1 a month or something.
And it turns out
I put 10 of them up on eBay and they all sold in a week, less than a week.
Wow.
So that also meant that I had to make more.
Well, yes.
So back in those days, there's no BrickLink. There's no source for parts. And I remember having to go scramble to what am I going to have to do to get enough parts to make 10 more of those? Because what I was doing is finding stuff on clearance at Target or Toys R Us or KB Toys or Walmart, anywhere I could, find stuff on clearance and then find multiples of it so I'd have enough of the same parts to make a set. So I was able to make 24 of those blacksmith shops, and each batch got progressively more expensive because I had to go further and dig harder to find the right pieces. So
of course, yeah.
There's a whole lot of Gungan subs that went into there. That's the reason the roof is blue on that.
Oh, wow.
So it was, I mean, I could get those for like half price at Target for quite a bit, for like a whole Christmas season.
Yeah, there was a while that set was on sale for quite a while.
Right. They couldn't get rid of them. And I'm like, sure, mark them down more. And it kept going that way. So I was basing my sets and what I could do off of what I could get in multiples or on clearance. And one thing they did produce in ungodly amounts was all that original Star Wars lineup. And for some reason, it was always on clearance. The boxes were always destroyed. I don't know what was up with that. They must have shipped through FedEx or something. I was able to always find all of the original first couple of years of Star Wars sets always on clearance, always getting like half price. And Target would do the most ridiculous deals. I'm not sure why, but I didn't care. I was buying stuff. I'd go out, fill up my minivan, brought my kid with, and she would be like in the back of the van, strapped into her car seat, surrounded by piles of Lego. I mean, literally, the floor to ceiling of the van was full of new sets. And our apartment,
that's awesome.
It was just the 2 of us in our apartment, and the dining room was nothing but floor to ceiling stacks of sets. And the funny thing is those sets are worth so much money today. We were busting them down, and I think I had like the little Boba Fett and his little spaceship, the original one. I must have had 150 of those. The Naboo fighter, the Gungan sub, I think there's a TIE fighter, a Y-wing, X-wing. So I'm breaking those things down and using the parts.
I think you'd only piss people off if you said Cloud City.
No, never had a Cloud City. Yeah, you're right though. That would. Yeah. Oh yeah, with a Cloud City, I was able to make 5 tanks out of that one. Yeah.
Oh, could you imagine?
Oh yeah. Oh, that was well. The thing is I was selling. I would when BrickLink finally happened, I was starting to sell the figures, and the figures really weren't valuable back then. It was
Yeah.
only in the last 10 years or so the figures have really gone through the roof. But all of my original sets, were Star Wars. So the blacksmith shop that I put out had, I think the two figures, and there was a female and a male figure. I'm pretty sure they were wearing it's like they're Star Wars torsos. the blacksmith
awesome.
was wearing the blacksmith's wearing like a Sith, some sort of Darth Vader or something torso.
Yeah.
And so I mean it's just now those figures are worth a fortune.
Yeah. Those early Star Wars figures, yeah. But meanwhile, yeah, he's got Darth Maul's robes on, and
I think so. I think the blacksmith wearing Darth Maul, and I think Obi-Wan is the female because she has like a sort of a looser robe. So the blacksmith shop's wife, the blacksmith's wife.
So, are there any other notable people who were in that small group?
Well, Larry Pinyatsik, he's still active. He did Milton Train Works, and he's still, he used to be more active. In classic back in the day, he ran the benefit auctions at Brick World Chicago. And so he did that for years and years and years. And it was always, I think until he lost his hearing. So it made it so hard to hear that he couldn't do it anymore. But he was like the MC and the auctioneer. Did a great job. But he did Milton Train Works. He did train kits.
Yeah. I've seen his kits. I remember.
Yeah. And back in the day, people were complaining that my sets were like $200, $300, and his sets were equally as much. Like, well, look, this, I'm not the only one here, like charging an arm and a leg, knowing what this all is worth. I can show examples. And there were about, I think in this group, about a half dozen kind of kit companies or, startups. And then we recruited a bunch of sellers on BrickLink that would have like, always be our preferred vendors sort of thing. We cultivated a group of suppliers.
Yeah, once BrickLink happened, it became easier to get parts and
right. And some of these stores would close to the public and just sell to us. So we called ourselves the Guild of Bricksmiths. It was kind of pretentious, but they would give us like special access, sometimes special prices. Because we were, buying tons and tons of bricks, and I would be interesting to know if the stats are still available, how far they go back that they were recording, to know how much. Yeah,
I was gonna say they're really just publicly 6 months, so you'd really have to know somebody in the company to.
Yeah, I wonder if they were destroyed. Those records are actually destroyed, or if they kept snapshots of it. But, yeah. I would be curious to know what percentage of the volume of BrickLink that, especially like 10 or 15 years ago when it wasn't as big, like how much we were contributing. I would say probably at some months we were 5 to 10% of the total business on there.
I wouldn't doubt it.
So, I mean, when I could say, on a good month, BrickMania might sell $500,000 worth of bricks, and they all got to come from somewhere.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
so
no doubt.
We contribute a lot to the community as far as purchase power. So,
I believe it, because you guys put out a lot of sets.
Yes, we used, when back when I first started, it was like one or two, a set every few years, and then that evolved into 1 to 2 sets a week. So every Friday we have new products coming out, and we haven't missed a Friday in. We haven't missed a release week in like, I don't know, over 10 years now.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, even Lego is like sped up, where it took 2 years to make a set, and now it's like we get 100 sets in a month. So everything's escalated since then.
Well, I think they're gearing towards their retail capacity. So if you go into a Lego store these days, it's nothing but set, and it's just like they have a certain amount of space.
Yeah.
And that means they have, and each one of those sets has a shelf life of a year, maybe a year and a half. So in order to keep those stores stocked, they have to have maintained so much output. So
Yeah.
they've made a commitment.
Last year's the first year they had over 1,000 sets in a single year.
Whoa, that's nuts. So gone are the days of trying to be a Lego complete, right?
It's impossible. It's almost impossible to be a theme completist in some themes. It feels like.
Yeah, they'll have like they'll have market exclusives. Like you know, Europe will get something that we can't get.
Well, they said they don't do that anymore. So
okay, good.
A couple of years ago, because people were complaining about the Chinese New Year's sets.
Yeah, and I noticed they are available now, and I think that's great. So I'm glad they stopped, because that was really, I know that was frustrating for some people.
Oh, I know. I used to import them.
Yeah,
so it was a pain in the butt. So, how did going from a castle every 6 months lead to building the military sets that you are now known for?
Well, I started posting on, what was it, Brick Shelf? You know, back in the day when the community was really active in trying to make our own sort of brick community. Brick Shelf was like for those who don't know, Brick Shelf was a gallery. It was sort of like a Flickr or you know, I don't know if the Instagram sort of like, it was just basically a free gallery. You could get a page and start uploading pictures. So I started uploading everything I had pictures of, like actually scanning photographs. I didn't have a digital camera. And people were like interested in the military stuff that I had just done for myself for fun. And started asking me to make those too. It's like, okay. I mean, I'm no military expert, but I started making them, and you know, once I made one, people asked for more, and it ended up becoming the most in demand product that BrickMania put out. I had a period of my life where I had a roommate, and he was very much, and for several years, he was very much into making World War II model tanks. And they're all German. He was just obsessed with German tanks. So like, well, I can copy these. I can make these out of Lego. And it turns out he wasn't the only person obsessed with German tanks.
No, I mean, we've definitely proven that over the years.
Right. So I think I made like a Tiger tank or something, and people went crazy. Made a Sherman tank, and it's just like I didn't know that there was like real demand and all that. So it was the customers that sort of demanded it. They're like, the castle stuff is cool, but make more tanks, make more airplanes. So,
and Lego will never touch it. So you kind of own that market.
Right. There's a couple other builders at the time that were doing it. There's a company called Mechanized Bricks, who also at about the same time did tanks and armor and stuff. And it was really, they were kind of in the same lane that I was. And I wasn't serious about it, but they were focused on the armor, focused on the historical stuff in that regard. And it kind of became like a weird competition by accident. They put out something, and then unbeknownst to me, I put out the same thing. It wasn't like I was copying, and we would just be like, the same week or the same month, like, hey, look at my new Panther tank. Oh, you just put one out yesterday. You know, like that. It kept happening. We kept putting out the same stuff. Like we had the same book that we were copying our ideas from or something.
Wow. That's got to be annoying, though, to be like, well, we're putting out the same things at the same times.
It's happened before, and there's been accusations like you're copying this person, or you're trying to put this person out of business by putting out the same stuff. And I mean, it's a big world out there, but the popular things, the most requested stuff is still going to be noticed by everybody. So we're always going to be putting out a lot of overlap. So there are other military companies, other military builders out there. They're doing, if they're not doing kits, they're doing instructions. Different people doing different focus.
Yeah, and there's a lot more avenues to reach the customers these days that you didn't have back then.
So no, I used
difference.
Going to a show back then was also like, I just introduced BrickMania to double the number of people. I went to Brick World for the first time. I think Brick World 2007 or 2008, something like that.
Uh-huh.
And that was a real eye opener. And I didn't go there I wasn't really doing BrickMania other than these like, onesie twosie castle sets back then. And in fact, I wasn't even doing BrickMania for quite a while. I was just kind of like had it on ice for a couple of years. Went to my first Brick World and realized that there was a demand for the stuff that I was just doing for fun. So the next year I went back and actually sold a bunch of stuff, sold everything I brought with me to sell. That kept happening. Every time I went to a show for a few years, I'd spend months and months getting ready, make a bunch of stuff, get to the show, sell everything the first day, and then then I could just play for the rest of the show. So.
And even those have gone up in value over the years.
Yeah, they have. But every time we put out a new version of something that's better and shinier and newer, that suddenly the old one doesn't look so nice anymore. So
yeah, but there's always the collectors who want the original version.
Yeah.
Lego absolutely. Puts out an X-Wing every year. People still want the originals sometimes. So
yeah, that original one gives me PTSD. So
well, I didn't say it was better. I just
I would say there's nothing wrong with the model. It has nothing to do with the kit itself. I think it was actually quite a revolutionary kit for its time, because it was like an all-in-one play set. It had, the X-Wing, and then you had the little compartment with the storage. It was actually like, and it had the little transport vehicle that the rebels had in their base. So it was actually kind of neat in that respect, that it wasn't just this Luke in a spaceship. It was a little bit more of a play set. But the connection to BrickMania is that I built this sort of modular castle church system as a cathedral, or it was a church, but you could buy expansion modules, and make a giant, as big of a castle as or big of a church as you wanted. And the basic set, it was three modules that all snapped together, but the steeple had one piece that was exclusive to that X-Wing. And in order to make one of my church kits, I think I had to go either 10 or 20 X-Wings in it.
Wow.
So when I could get the X-Wings for like $20 on clearance, no big deal. But all of a sudden when they discontinued it, they went from like $20 to $50 to $100 a piece. So they became harder and harder for me to get. So I don't remember how many of these churches I made, but it was probably close to 30 of them. And it just kept getting more and more expensive each batch.
Yeah. Oh, thank goodness for, BrickLink and
pick a brick
now.
Yeah. Well, stupid me didn't think, when I designed some of this stuff, I had no idea I was going to be making more than 3 copies, I thought it was just going to be me, and this was an exercise and fun, and I'd sell a few copies, and then like, what? I sold 10. Now I have to build them. I was some of the bigger sets. These, like that church, I think was $1,000. If you wanted the basic first 3 modules, was $1,000, and I was like, nobody's going to buy this. And lo and behold, I sold 10. So like, well, now I've got $10,000. Now I've got to go find all the sets that I need.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It
could be a problem.
It was a real challenge, and I didn't know the market value. There was no way to know. I was like, every brick is worth 10 cents, and I was buying everything new. I wouldn't use any used pieces in my sets. That's been a kind of a rule for BrickMania since day one. People are going to expect to open the box. We should still give them that new brick as much as we can, since we don't make a new brick experience.
Well, people expect that because they expect the Lego experience, even though you're not Lego.
Right.
Because you're a brick company like Lego.
Right. And we have a weird aesthetic. We're like really like top shelf. All of our stuff is really expensive. It's all high quality. And then it comes in a cheap cardboard box. There's like we want people to know that it was handmade. If it gets too professional looking, then there's going to be like the expectations of, this like sort of white velvet glove treatment or something. Like, well, we're human, they're handmade, hand assembled, but we want to keep some sort of smudges and fingerprints there just to prove that it was made by hands and not like some sterile, mass-produced robotic factory kind of setting.
Well, I hope they never miscount.
We do. We have a great customer service team, so we do have quality control. I mean, everything is hand checked, hand weighed. I mean, hand counted. There's inevitably going to be a mistake here and there, but that's why we have customer service, and we try to be as prompt as we can. But if you come to us like 5 years after the fact, go, I just opened my set from, 2000 or 2021. I'm missing a piece. Like, well, you're kind of in the same boat as us. We may not be able to get that anymore, especially if it's a printed element or something that we, some custom piece we made. So,
do you make a lot of pieces yourselves now?
we do some. I mean, we've been working with Brick Arms, ever since. I mean, Brick Arms was really that when I was sort of like had BrickMania sort of on ice for a while, like in the early 2000s. I was still doing this stuff. I just wasn't selling to the public. Brick Arms happened, and Brick Forge. So these companies that were sort of like inspired by, the developing aftermarket. So Brick Arms, Will from Brick Arms was a BrickMania fan, and he'd been buying and building my stuff while I wasn't even doing it anymore. And he was instrumental in getting me to come back. Said, "Hey, people really love your stuff. Come back and do more BrickMania stuff." So I did, and then I also now have this source of like, "Hey, cool! I've got little guns to go with my tanks." And so that was the introduction to adding aftermarket items to Lego. I would custom make some printing and stuff like that, like printed parts or flags or something to go in some of the early kits or stickers. But it was that led us down to the road that like, hey, we could, if Lego doesn't make it, we could find somebody who can do it for us, or we'll make it ourselves. So,
well, it's great to see that there was such partnerships and synergy between the different custom aftermarket companies working
right.
Like
there's some pretty heavy duty competition going on too. There's when I first started doing this, it was all about helping each other. I mean, learning together how to do it, and somehow there was some real acrimony between some of the second generation companies. I mean, I guess maybe because they were looking at it like serious business, not just something we do after work in our basements anymore. They took it more seriously. Yeah.
When there's money involved, that eventually happens.
Yeah, sadly. And the interesting thing is I have people that work for me that have gone down that road of like, we've got to be more serious. We got to go after competitors. And I have to rein that in because like, hey, this is a community. This is not we are not in control of this community. We didn't invent the wheel. Somebody's going to come along and make something better than us. So, we better humble ourselves, not try to take control of this sort of aftermarket because it's too big. It's too we want to be, I guess, pillars of the community, not like the villains of the community.
Yeah, it doesn't need to have a villain. It's kind of one of the things I like about the community right now, that there's always somebody who wants to be the troll, the villain, just to get the clicks and the clout. And
sure. Yeah, well, that's not me. I run away. When something like that happens, I'm like, I run away screaming, or I'm the person who's gonna like, if somebody puts themselves up on a pedestal, I'm gonna be the person who tries to like shake that pedestal a little bit, and humble that person. I don't go out seeking that sort of thing, but it happens once in a while.
If it happens, it happens.
It does.
So how did you go from making a few sets and selling out at Lego conventions like Brick World and Brick Fair, where I first saw you, to the weekly sets of the week and the bigger sales?
Right. Well, I think it had more to do with just having to get serious. Like, there was such a demand. I mean, there was a period, I want to say around 2008, when things started getting more serious, when things like really like I couldn't keep up. I was doing, I was basically working a full-time job somewhere else. And then all my rest of my time was taken up doing BrickMania stuff. And I finally was like, okay, I'm gonna have to make a choice here. Do I continue to do my former job and then, two jobs at once? And I made a decision that I was going to do BrickMania full time, and that just freed up my time. So it doubled, tripled the output I could do. I recruited my wife to help me. She was almost, she started going to school, but she, for the most part, was doing full time, putting decals on minifigs. Before we had any printing capability, we had to do decals, like really high quality decals. But printed with Alps printers, we're getting metallic and all these like kind of cool, like, military figures to go with our military kits. So 2 of us working full time, and that still wasn't enough. We still couldn't keep up with demand. So I'd say, hey, we're going to put out a batch of 40 of X, Y, or Z. We'd make 40 of them. They're gone before we could even, we'd sell the whole batch out right away. And then, okay, we just sold 40 of those. Now I've got enough money to make, maybe another 40 plus some money to live off of, and plus, a little bit more. So it just grew really fast with success, until the point where I had to actually hire employees, and we outgrew our house. So imagine like a full-time two full-time business. So I had a record label at the time, and then the BrickMania thing going on in a 900 square foot house with 2 dogs, like 4 cats, 3 kids. So you can imagine stuff was everywhere. The basement was the record label. I had a little workshop that I could design stuff down there. And then every other nook and cranny was works in progress, sets, waiting for parts, that kind of thing. So we had to get a legit warehouse, a legit space to work. And once that happened, it just kind of mushroomed from there. Having employees, hiring my first employees, that also means, oh boy, now it's got to be real. We have to like actually make some sort of like system and something that was predictable for everybody else, that we could just sort of like, hey, this is how we start something, how we finish it, blah, 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 make a process for making our products. So, and the more people that we got involved, the more like a machine it became. So we have a weekly routine. Like
I say, you have to have a process, because everybody has to be able to pitch in at any point, as opposed to, I'm just doing it myself. It's not a problem.
Yeah, and that's not what we do. We have certain aspects are kind of like, people are I have people that are territorial about their contribution to the overall machine. I mean, Amanda Fuke, she's Brick World Master as well. She works at BrickMania, and she's an amazing artist, and she is our chief like minifig artist right now. So she's sort of like, I know all the ins and outs. We have other people on the team that can make minifigs, but she's definitely like the workhorse when it comes to that. She does all the heavy lifting. But she, I'm putting out a set, like on average, my sets come out like every other week, maybe. Sometimes every week I'll have something come out, but she has minifigs, sometimes up to like 6 or 7 in a week. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is, I'll put together a kit that's like, well, this kit has a crew of 4 guys, plus we have, riders along. So now we have to make that whole thing. We have to make the whole crew, the whole company. So, or the whole, kit caboodle. So I'm doing the kit. I'm like, ooh, this is cool. I've got this whole kit, but other people contribute to it. So Amanda does the figures. If we need custom parts made, it could be Amanda, it could be some of our other team. If we have printing on it, there's the Slam comes in and does all the non-minifig printing on it. So what I mean, I think the portion of people handling actual bricks and counting out the sets at BrickMania is actually pretty small compared to all the people that are putting other inputs into it. So the artists, the designers, and then we do a ton of printing. So we are primarily a printing company.
Oh, wow.
Maybe after rent and payroll, Lego parts are our biggest expense. That's maybe number 3, but I think number 4 easily is toner and upkeep for various printers. So we print on the parts. I don't know. Here, this is what I'm working on right now. This helicopter.
Very cool.
This is next week's kit, and I was able to find some older pieces that we'd used previously, but we print on the parts. This isn't the greatest example because it's just black on gray. Yeah. But the printers we use, the custom printers, we print all of our own minifigs. We print that, so that's UV printing. We've done pad printing as well, but we're I don't know how many machines we're operating right now. Probably like 9 of these big UV printers. at any given day. And each one of these printers is ridiculous. Like the cost of each one of these is like it's like a luxury car.
Seriously.
And then we 3D print. We do injection molding. What else do we do? We print all of our own packaging too.
Oh, cool.
So every kit, BrickMania kit, comes with paper instructions, and we print all those in house. So we have a paper print operation. We could print anything. We print postcards, posters, banners. When I go to shows, the banners that we have in our booth, those are all printed by us too.
That's crazy that you're now just end to end everything in house,
except the Lego bricks.
Except the bricks, yes.
And, when we have to buy resin for the 3D printer, it's like it's a huge expense because we're using like we're not using like entry level machines. We're using industrial machines. So
of course,
it's not a who would have ever thought I'd be running this like operation like this? And I guess I don't really run it. The whole team runs it.
Of course,
I just enable it all to happen. I'm the one with the dumb ideas. Hey, let's do this. Let's buy a $150,000 CNC and to make dollar parts with.
Hey, why not?
Right. Someday we'll make it worth our time. So we have a machine shop. We have everything. It's crazy.
So the original sets were like 10 runoffs. How many of copies of a single set are now done per set?
Well, it's still, in some cases, it's still pretty small, but the sums that we're doing 10 might be a 6,000 piece set or 10,000 piece set.
Oh, okay.
So I think we broke the 10,000 piece set officially before Lego did. So I think before they put out their X-Wing, we had bigger sets than they did.
Oh, nice.
So some of those big sets we do in small batches. Some of them we do on demand, like say we're going to open up a pre-order and we get five copies of a 5,000 piece set, but it still takes the team a long time to count out all those bricks. So, but I think average, we hand sort everything, and you can only reach so far on a table. So we have little cups, like sorting cups. They're like, I think they're pint sorting cups. I think that's a pint. We can fit 50 of those on a table, and you don't have to bend over and break your back. You can probably sit and reach all 50. So that 50 is a typical batch for us. And when we put out a really popular new kit, we might sell 200 in the first week or something like that. But that's not the norm. The norm is somewhere between 50 and 100 of an item. And then we might do smaller batches, follow-up batches, just because people, why we still have this time and money invested in designing a product. If there's still demand, we'll just keep making more until we can't, until nobody wants it. So
that makes sense. So what led you guys to actually opening a brick and mortar down in Virginia?
Well, the first store was actually in Minnesota. So and it was in the Mall of America. So
really?
It was the idea being that when we go to an event, the bigger the event, the more people walk through that door, the more money we're going to make. And an event like Brick World happens once a year, or Brick Fair. And we're like, well, where are people constantly? Let's put it in the most popular mall. So we opened our first store in the Mall of America with the whole concept, like, hey, if there's people and we're there, we will inevitably sell enough stuff. And it actually worked. The first store in Mall of America was tiny. It was this little hole in the wall closet with a glass door in the front. It was the smallest store probably in the whole mall. And it happened to be on the way, if you like parked in the third floor parking ramp and wanted to go to the Lego store. So the best parking, you could always get a space on the third floor, walk in that door, do a quarter turn, like the closest parking ramp to the Lego store, that we were on the way for everybody coming in that way. So if you walked in the door, you had to walk by the BrickMania store to get to the Lego store. So it just the luck of the draw, we ended up in that good spot. And then people knew that we were there. So they'd make a point of like always parking in the same area, stop at the BrickMania store, go to the Lego store, and then are on the way back. So we were selling like, accessories to the stuff that Lego was selling. We had light
Yeah.
packs from Brick Stuff and Brick Journal and things like that. That the Lego fans they may not have bought our stuff or just dabbled in some of the custom stuff, but we had always things that we sold some secondhand Lego set stuff, and so we were like in the Lego store or in the mall. We were the other Lego store in the mall. People would come in and be like, "Oh, this is crazy. I was expecting a bigger Lego store." Like, yeah, it's downstairs. we would send people to the Lego store all the time. And ironically, people would go to the Lego store thinking it was the BrickMania store and ask where the tanks are. So they'd send them up to us. So we had sort of like an unofficial, like we'd always send customers to each other's stores. So the Lego store was actually sending people to our store.
It's nice that they were friendly about it, as opposed
to well,
Lego corporate says no.
Yeah, Lego corporate was also thousands of miles away, and I've been going to that Lego store, spending my hard-earned money, so they knew me, because who else is going to walk into the Lego store and buy 10 castles all at once? so they knew who I was just by reputation. And I was also in the GMLTC, which is the first lug ever recognized by Lego, actually.
Oh, really?
So Greater Midwest Lego Train Club adopted me. They found out that I was, in the same town as them, and so they recruited me to help build for them. I built a lot of their early display. I wouldn't even say early. A lot of displays that they traveled around with for many years. That some of the people in that group were also Lego employees, so they worked at that store. So it helped. They knew who I was. There's sort of some unofficial, recognition going on. Just we're in the same circle. It's a Lego community. So
nice.
And who ran the Lego store? But a bunch of like AFOLs. Some of them were closet AFOLs. They had to be, because they wouldn't be given positions of responsibility in that store otherwise.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But anyway, so we opened a store in Minneapolis, Mall of America. That store ended up. It was at the Mall of America for several years, maybe 4 years, until we couldn't afford the rent. They kept every year they'd jack the rent by 10% until we were almost paying double what we started with. That compounding interest.
Yeah.
So we closed that mall store, opened another store at our headquarters in northeast Minneapolis, about 20 minutes away. And once the new store was open, we closed that Mall of America store, but we had a whole store. So that store ended up moving. We packed up everything and moved it to the Virginia store. So our first store was Mall of America. Second store was Woodfield Mall in Schaumburg. So we were close to Brick World. And then the Mall of America store ended up moving to Virginia to be close to Brick Fair. So
and that that becomes a whole other issue. And then you were kind of off a little bit, and then you moved literally right next to the convention.
Well, next door to the convention was that laser tag place.
Yeah.
So we were they built a little mall, that little like addition in the parking lot. It was like 4 storefronts or 5 storefronts.
Yeah, it was like a wedding shop, an ISIS shop.
Right. Yeah. And we only had 1,000 square feet in there. It was like the smallest space. They wouldn't I don't think they trusted us with any more, but they wouldn't let us take the best space in the store. And they ended up filling that little mall, that little annex. And we were like, we need a bigger space. We are like full to the ceiling with stuff, to the point where they were like contemplating sending me back stuff. I'm like, no, you can't send back merchandise. People come into the store, you need to have all the BrickMania stuff in there. So I think the laser tag place did not survive COVID. I mean, figure you can't have people out, especially in a group setting like that. So when that ended, we ended up getting maybe 2/3 of the laser tag place.
Okay.
So we took a lot more space than we probably should have. We don't need it. It's still half empty. So
it's a great store to visit. Well, it was when Brick Fair was there.
Oh, it still is. And the funny thing is even though that Brick Fair, the convention center is not there anymore. They're building an IKEA next door.
Yeah.
We still have so many people, so many regulars that discovered us because of Brick Fair. You know, even before we had that store there, we were like we were the main sponsor of Brick Fair. So we were always front and center when you walked in the door for years, until we lost that privilege to I think it was one of the bouncy castles. Todd said, you know, it was either we need space for mocks and I got to get rid of something. I got to get rid of you guys or I got to get rid of the bouncy castle. And apparently the bouncy castle won. So they got rid of us. So we lost our sponsorship place. So that doesn't make sense to me because we paid him a lot of money to.
Yep. I was going to say, yeah, you're probably paying a lot of money for that. And nobody likes the bouncy houses. Like, they're annoying.
Apparently a few of the AFOLs and vendors rely on the bouncy houses or bouncy castles to entertain their kids while they're working or they're enjoying Brick Fair. So
well, that's true.
I guess that was the price to pay. So basically they lost their sponsorship money in order to maintain the babysitter for the wayward kids that weren't interested in bricks.
And then they got rid of the bouncy castles because they had too many mocks. So that only lasted a little while anyway.
Yeah. Well, there was a time I remember because we'd always bring giant displays and stuff like that. And he actually asked us to stop bringing displays because we take up too much space.
So with Brick Fair up in the air right now, like we know there's going to be a new location. Todd just hasn't made the official announcement yet, but because it's an IKEA, it's definitely not there. Will the lack of Brick Fair at the Dulles Expo Center affect the store at all?
It might. I mean, it will for that particular month. But we, you know, with this as a store, as a retail place, I mean, we're there. We're open. We used to be open 7 days a week. We're open 5 days a week now, but we're open year round. And we have a solid, I guess, relationship with the community there. The local lugs come in and set up displays. They can do some of their like lug activities there. It's big enough that they can fit everybody in there.
That's convenient.
So there's a lot of repeat customers, a lot of regulars come in. And it's also we have 5 BrickMania stores now, and that's the one that has the most established, I guess, chain of secondary market, aftermarket, where people will bring in their sets, will buy used sets, refurbish them, and sell them. You know, it's kind of like the same model that Bricks and Minifigs do. But you know, and I don't know how the internals of a Bricks and Minifigs works. It's up. You know, that's a retail thing. It's not in my wheelhouse.
Same. So,
but you know, I know that we refurbish a lot of sets. They'll go through, they'll rebuild it. So, and they're obsessed with like putting together sets. They're like, if they find one rare piece, like we can figure out what set this came from, and we'll make it. We'll put it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they do that. They'll like, you know, they'll get stuff and hunt down and do all the, you know, find instructions for it and build it. So that's become their thing, and they have a bunch of regulars that come in all the time buying stuff, and apparently we're cheaper than the other guys. So and we pay better than the other guys. So
I mean, when you're going up against pretty much GameStop, it's hard to, you know, not do better.
So yeah, I don't want to criticize, but apparently what we're doing is working, and we've developed a following, and not only have a following, we have a following of customers, we have a following of sellers. So it's gotten to the point where like we sell out one of our big kits, the Chris or Matt, the managers will be like, oh, we know somebody who actually has one of those on their list of stuff waiting to come in here. So they'll sell out of some, you know, big, you know, Bionicle set or something. I don't know if I'm just throwing that out there. So I don't know if we have any Bionicle at the moment. But you know, Ninjago, whatever castle sells out. Well, we've got 3 more on our list of, you know, our regular suppliers have those sitting at their house. We'll call one of them up and tell them that there's room for another one. So the stuff that we sell typically gets replaced pretty quick. So we'll sell like a Death Star. They have 3 more Death Stars in the wings waiting to come in there.
So you have a whole supply chain set up, which is
it's pretty wild. So I think a Bricks and Minifigs was trying to open in that mall too, and
really?
The owners of the mall actually asked us if it would affect us, and they're like, well, yeah, it's literally doing what we do. So we almost had a Bricks and Minifigs open up in the same area, like within shouting distance of us. And fortunately, that didn't
been
happen.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have nothing against bricks and minifigs. I actually go to the stores when I'm at shows. I love going to their booth because I can usually find the spare parts, the missing parts I need for whatever display I'm putting out. But there's some stores have been pretty hostile to our BrickMania employees. That I don't really understand.
Really?
Yeah. So
I don't know. That's unnecessary.
Yeah, and I don't know where that comes from. So they've been nothing but nice to me, but they'd probably,
that's fair.
Aside the fact that everything I own says BrickMania.
Yeah. Well, if you're not going to go out and advertise for it, who will?
Yeah.
Go out NASCAR branding, BrickMania, everything.
Yeah. Well, that's like I said, like you just said, if nobody else is going to do it, I'm going to do it.
So what does the future hold for BrickMania?
Well, there's always ideas. There's always side projects. We're trying new things all the time. I've been working with Adam Reed Tucker he has another brand called the Atom Bricks. Uh-huh. So that's an interesting person. If you could get him to sit still for long enough to do a podcast. So he started the Lego architecture line.
Oh yeah, I remember.
So he does his own thing. He doesn't work with Lego anymore. He's finally, his NDAs and all that stuff they're finally done, and he has no connection. So he started another company called The Atom Brick, and he's using these like small, it's a Lego system, but like shrunken, like 3/4 scale bricks. And he's kind of like recreating his own, architecture line, but with smaller bricks. And he invited me to partner with him to make some military stuff. So trying it out. We've put out 4 sets so far, have 4 more in the wings. They're a little bit different because these are mass produced. When BrickMania makes something, it's all handmade, very limited edition. This is the opposite. This is factory made. So it's a new for me, trying to bring BrickMania to the masses, so to speak. I don't know. I'm still not sold that this is the way. But I'm not giving up on it yet.
Never hurts to try. See what happens.
Right. And people look at our stuff and go, that's a great model. I just can't afford the $400 price tag. Yeah. Like, well, what if we gave it to you for $75? It won't be Lego, but I'm not looking for a Lego replacement. So this is kind of works into that favor. It fits into that category. It's the same experience, but it's not like we're just making a BrickMania set with a different brand bricks. It's a slightly different system, a bit of a challenge to work with because it's new parts. They don't have the whole selection that I'm used to having. And, this is like back to the 80s when I only have, 1,200 different pieces or, less than 1,000 different elements to work with.
Yeah. It's not like, they have 70 years worth of different pieces and colors and everything to work with. And Adam is, at ground zero. So he's got like the 5 colors. He's got like 5 shapes.
No. So this is actually kind of the interesting part is that, so he's partnering with another company that existed for a little while. They were kind of in the weeds, and he's sort of like they had their own sets and have their own product line. So they have 40 different colors. They don't have the molds yet. So they have the color down, but they don't have the molds. So it's kind of interesting. I get to build military stuff in military green, but it's awesome. It's like literally taking a time capsule back 20 years because the element selection is so much smaller. So it's like building back in the late 90s or something, or the mid 90s with that size selection. So it's starting over. It's pretty cool. I'm having a good time, but it's a lot of work because trying to port all that into the same sort of like, we have to make a new parts library now for our instruction system. So
of course
it's interesting.
Sometimes it's fun to just have that new challenge.
Yeah. And it makes you realize how much stuff that you've already have. Because BrickMania has been going for 27 years now, something like that.
Wow. So
we had this history that we've been building on, and starting over it from scratch is like, oh, this is a lot of hard work. I forgot about this. So I'm smarter now because I've done everything. I know how to make parts in LDRAW because and I don't know if you're familiar with LDRAW, the whole.
Of course.
So the the Lego community built CAD system.
Yep.
I'm using Draw system for these small kits, but there's new parts, and I've had to learn how to make my own parts. We custom make parts too, so it's like we've had to learn this whole.
So you're doing the whole 3D modeling and doing it all from scratch. That's pretty cool.
Yes, yeah. So you got there's so many different forms. Like if we 3D print something, that uses a different file type. If it, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
If it's a mechanical part, one sort of like sculpting tool. If it's a organic part, like we're making a hairpiece or something that's cloth or something, then you have to use another 3D tool entirely. And can we injection mold it? Can we 3D print it? So we really are learning a lot of new skills, teaching ourselves a lot of new skills, and figuring it out as we go.
Well, if people want to follow on and see how you build these and what's to come, where can they find you online?
Well, of course, BrickMania.com. It's probably like the worst 80s style website you can. It functions as a shopping cart. We're not out to build Formula One websites. We're doing just like our kits, comes in a cardboard box, a brown cardboard box. But we hope that the product that comes inside is with the real, that speaks for itself.
And if it don't break, don't fix. Or if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Right. We don't want to have too much, wasting time and money on such a luxury box when it's not the box people are buying. It's what's inside. Of course. So, and then we also have 5 retail stores, and then I still go to AFOL conventions, and so, I'm still part of the community. I love being part of the community. I'm not as around as much as I used to be because I have to wear so many hats. And kind of busy these days, but I still, if there's obviously here I'm on a podcast, so still involved, still love, love to be part of the community, and acknowledge that BrickMania wouldn't exist without this community. Never take that for granted.
And the community appreciates everything that you and BrickMania do.
So I appreciate that.
So thank you for joining me tonight. If you want to keep up with the Tales from the Brick podcast, we're available on all your favorite podcast players, and you can find us on YouTube on the 8-Bit Bricks channel. If you want to save money on Lego, check out the Bargain Bricks app. It's available on iOS, Android, and the web. Until next time, play well.